Coming up now on Animal Outtakes, it's a refuge for hundreds of animals, and it takes the help of the entire community to run a facility like this. Can our pets experience loss?
It hasn't been easy, but I go on every day for them.
And straight from the horse's mouth, we will be learning more about the job of an equine dentist.
This is the portion of the tooth that we typically, grind down or reduce.
This and much more straight ahead on Animal Outtakes. Hello and welcome to Animal Outtakes. I'm Marcia Panucci. Octagon Wildlife Sanctuary is located in Punta Gorda, Florida. This not-for-profit is run entirely by volunteers. It's a refuge for hundreds of neglected or abandoned animals whose survival depends on help from the community and those devoted volunteers. Jackie, we're here in this beautiful hidden gem in Charlotte County called Octagon Wildlife Sanctuary. What does that really mean?
Octagon Wildlife Sanctuary is the oldest retirement center in Punta Gorda. What we do here is we take in mistreated and not wanted animals, animals that may have been used in circuses, animals that private owner, they would purchase an animal but they didn't have the correct licensing permits. The animal got older and started biting. Like, why do you think it's a good idea to buy a hyena?
Now let's talk about that. The animals that are here at Octagon, we're not talking our domesticated dogs and cats and so on. We're talking the big boys.
The big boys.
So who do we have here? Hyenas?
We have tigers, bears, we have lions, we have hyenas, we have bobcats.
And how many animals do you home here?
About 200.
Ooh, that's a lot.
That's a lot of animals. Yeah, it's a lot of animals. It takes a village.
It does take a village, absolutely. Yeah. Well, they all have to eat, and they all have to have meds to a certain extent. What kind of a budget do you have to have, and who helps you with this?
Well, our budget pretty much relates to our donations. We go through probably 8,000 to 10,000 pounds of meat a week. We go through a couple hundred pounds of vegetables and fruits almost daily.
These are, as you point out, wild animals. How do you get close? I don't think you just throw the food, do you?
We do not. We have feed holes. An aggressive animal will be locked out. You can see the door here in the middle of the enclosure. That's called a lockout. So we move the animals to one side of the enclosure, we close that door, and then it's safe for us to go into the enclosure. It's almost like when we get an animal, no matter what they've been through in their prior life, when they settle into this new environment, they trust us. I've always found that incredible because we've got bears that were beaten with pipes. We've got tigers that were used in circuses that were beaten because they didn't perform. So when we can create this bond, even though it's from a distance, they trust us, they know what we're doing, they know we're not going to hurt them. They get fed every day, so
they're just in a better place. Now we must mention, of course, this is a sanctuary.
Yes. And
so once the animals come here, they will live out their days here.
They will, yes, because all of the animals that we've taken in are either confiscations from people that didn't have the right permits, they didn't have any license, they were abusing the animal, they just couldn't care for the animal anymore because it got too big, it started to bite, those types of things. All of these animals have been born and raised in captivity. None of our animals have ever been in the wild. And some of these animals are even 15 to 20-year generation bred. So once they do come here, they could never be, we're not a rehab to release. We can't do that because they've never been out in the wild. So they need to be taken care of.
And there is a common statement that is made, well, we could never let them out into the wild because, well, they just wouldn't exist. But there's more to that statement, isn't there?
Definitely more to that statement. They would not survive because they've never had to forage for food. A lot of these animals are declawed, that they came that way to the sanctuary. A lot of them have had teeth taken out so they wouldn't bite, you know, things like that. So basically, they would not know how to survive. And where would we take a tiger and let a tiger loose in Charlotte County, or anywhere, or take it to, let's say, Siberia and let it loose? It would be prey. It would definitely be food for someone else higher on the food chain.
Do you ever say no?
You know, I think there have been maybe a couple of times where Lori, our director, just says, we cannot take this animal for various reasons. For instance, chimpanzees, they need a vet on call on property 24/7. And I mean, that's the law. We don't have a vet on property 24/7. So we would have to say no to a chimp. But pretty much everything else, if we have the room, we'll take it. Yeah.
Where does Octagon get the food to feed all those animals? From the community. Companies like Harry Chapin Food Bank and food distributor Cheney Brothers donate meat every week. Also, the sanctuary's local Winn-Dixie gives fruits, vegetables, and bread every day. As a pet owner, I've lost so many pets, and each time they take a little bit of my heart with them. But what if that role was reversed and a pet loses its caregiver? It begs the question, do pets grieve?
The quiet moments with my bears is what keeps me going.
It's been a year since Monica Weldy lost her husband, Johnny. He was a third-generation bear trainer. It was Monica and her husband who built Paradise Ranch in Mayaca City, Florida. It was not only their home, but the home of their other family members, 14 bears.
It hasn't been easy, but I go on every day for them.
You know, Monica, we have so enjoyed our visit today, but it would be remiss that we would not bring up your husband, who recently passed away and was so instrumental in bringing these bears to you, to your children, and of course to us. And so it does beg the question, do they miss Johnny? Do they grieve? We know they cry. What did you see after he passed?
Morning. Our bears definitely noticed his absence. Of course, I can't explain to them exactly what happened to him and why he's gone. They just know that he's not around, and they would look around, you know. But my husband and I trained and raised these animals together. We built our relationship with them, and my son and my family wants to continue the legacy, the Weldy family legacy. We owe it to the family because they've had them for so many years and devoted their lives to them. My husband was the patriarch of our family. He loved animals. He was an animal welfare advocate, and he enjoyed sharing our bears with the public and to teach them about these wonderful animals. And I am so blessed that I have been able to spend my life, and my wonderful husband was the best partner I ever could have asked for.
It's changes in your pet's behavior that you may notice after a loss.
They get worried. And is it okay, are they grieving, or are they just worried because their stability is gone and they're trying to figure out what to do? It does have the same kind of effect on them.
When the caretaker leaves,
Okay.
and you've got a grieving dog or a cat, because most of us have the domesticated small animals, what can we do to get them over this?
Yeah, so if it's part of your family that's gone, then it's a little bit easier because the dog is, or the cat is already into that same household. And then sometimes I'll start out just trying to mimic what the other person did for them. Like if they're used to going for a walk, I try to keep that routine kind of the same. If it's the owner give up that's died and it's gone to a rescue facility, then sometimes it's more difficult because I try to figure out what they're used to doing and what they've been doing.
For Monica, keeping the family routine is what helps them all cope with loss.
We love our bears and we hope to continue it in his honor.
Some ways you can help your pet if you notice they might be grieving the loss of a companion, human or animal. Give that pet a little more attention. Maybe another walk or a special treat during the day. There is only 2 species of alligators found in the world. Here in the States we have one, and we'll learn about the other type of alligator next. Many active duty servicemen and women face a dilemma as they prepare for deployment. Who will look after their canine companion until they return? Dantes Den provides temporary boarding for their dogs as they serve. We honor the trust placed in us by members of the armed forces by giving their furry friends loving care, spacious dens, on-site veterinary care, and plenty of room to run and play. For more information, go to dantesden.org or call 844-DANTES-DEN.
People have asked me what it'll cost to restore all the corals back the way they remember. But I have to ask them, what will it cost if we don't do anything?
So this is Mugu.
This is Mugu, and Mugu is a Chinese alligator. As you can tell, a lot different from the American alligator that you're familiar with. She's a full-grown girl. She's a full-grown female. In her lifetime, she may get to be 5 feet, maybe a little over 5 feet in length. They are the most critically endangered of all crocodilians. There may be fewer than 50 of them left in the wild. And there are a couple of facilities that have large numbers of them in captivity. By large, I mean, a few hundred. But unfortunately, most of those animals are too closely related to be breeding. I've been working with the Chinese alligators for many years. They're remarkable creatures, absolutely remarkable. Very intelligent, very large eyes, excellent eyesight. And they've got the loudest voice of any crocodile for their size. On a quiet night, you can hear her for almost 2 miles.
Oh my.
When she's grunting or bellowing, calling to a boyfriend, she might be. We're trying desperately to keep these guys from becoming a memory. And it's such a shame because so many of the things that caused their demise were the opposite of what they are.
Right.
The Chinese people were killing them because they would get into the rice paddies. Leave them alone, they eat rats.
Ah.
They lose almost a third of their crop every year to rats. These guys are harmless creatures. They're small. They just want to be left alone, live their lives.
Now, how old is she?
She is around 30, so she's a youngster.
Oh, she's a youngster.
She's a youngster. We're not sure how long they live, but we know they go past 100.
You know, we've heard you say that, you're trying to repatriate some of these and trying to save the planet for these. Again, why is this important to us? Other than those of us who are in the animal advocate business.
More reasons than I could tell you in a short conversation, but let me just give you a couple. One of them is because every time we take a domino out of the batch, they start to collapse. There's no 2 ways about it. This is a remarkable creature that's been around virtually unchanged for millions and millions of years. She has no potential for doing harm to anybody. Again, she wants to go live her life quietly. Isn't that enough?
I would say so.
Isn't that enough? There's lots of other reasons, but as I am fond of saying, education, not legislation, is the key to environmental success. The ultimate right of any animal should be the continuation of its species.
Here's a fun fact for you. One of the differences between an American alligator and the Chinese alligator? Size. While the American gator can get more than 11 feet long, the Chinese gator averages under 5 feet. Next, we're heading to the dentist. Well, an equine dentist, that is. Just like you and me, a visit to the dentist on a regular basis is a must for a horse. Their teeth can get worn down from chewing, and any unevenness can sometimes lead to issues.
Hi, I'm Dr. John Bivens, and I'm an equine veterinarian, and my practice is limited strictly to equine dentistry. I just do one thing, and that's maintain horses' teeth all day, every day, 5 days a week. That's normal. They're supposed to be that way. Horses need routine dental care. No matter really what they do, whether they're just pasture ornaments or whether they get ridden every day, they do need dental care because of the way their teeth wear. And so they need to see a dentist at least one time a year, mostly until they get older. Occasionally the older ones can be seen every 2 years, but mostly once a year. And it actually helps them maintain their teeth so that when they do get older, they still have teeth left to chew with and they can still maintain their health on into their 30s. This is the portion of the tooth that we typically, grind down or reduce. This is most of a tooth from a young horse. This came out of a 4-year-old. And this is a lower tooth. And the gum line is about where my fingers are. And you can see the rest of the tooth here would be down in the jawbone, okay? And so the tooth is held into the socket by a ligament. And this ligament acts like a rubber band or slingshot, if you will, so that as they chew on this part of the tooth, it wears the tooth off, and the ligament moves the tooth up into the mouth so that it replaces what gets worn away. So as they get older, this process continues until eventually they do pretty much run out of tooth. But if you keep that wear pattern the way it is supposed to be in the horse, their teeth will last much longer. A horse generally is a prey animal. And in the wild, if you're a prey animal and you show that something's wrong, you're the first one to get eaten. So they hide the pain very well just until they can't take it anymore. The other theory that goes along with that is this eruption of this tooth is very slow and it takes place over a long period of time. So as the dental conditions get worse, it's a slow, gradual thing. So the horse gets used to it. It's not all at one time. It's a slow, gradual build-up process over a period of years, and so they adjust to that. A lot of them you won't notice it looking at them, but they'll change the way they chew to avoid a painful tooth. I identify areas of the teeth that are not getting appropriate wear, okay? And I wear them for him, basically, is in a nutshell what I do. And the other thing is that I wear the teeth in such a way that they are comfortable and not going to hurt him, cause him pain. You know, we keep the points from getting sharp so they don't cut their cheeks. We keep the long teeth from getting long, or from getting longer, I suppose. You know, we do have times when the teeth will crack or break or become infected. We have to take those teeth out. You know, but it's all about maintaining their teeth, because it maintains the health of the horse. You keep their teeth going, you keep their digestive system going. You know, it's just part of the whole package.
Now, a horse isn't going to tell you when it's having a tooth issue. Instead, Dr. Bivens says you need to watch for warning signs of any problems, and regular visits by an equine dentist can help prevent any trouble. Stay with us. Ask the Vet is coming up next. Dr. Glassman, those of us who have large breed dogs, and we certainly do, and we love them, but we're always very cautious about arthritis. Can you tell us, can we prevent it? Can we help it? Can we stave it off?
Yeah, we can do a little of all of that. Large breed dogs, people are always familiar with hip dysplasia. We've all heard that. Hip dysplasia is a genetic predisposition to having malformation of the bones, the joints, the tendons, the joint capsule, whatever. It's probably multifactorial, but we know there is some inherited component for large breed dogs to have hips that will become malformed as they grow and then lead to arthritis as they get older.
Now, when we talk of large breed dogs, I have giant schnauzers. They are prone. Certainly have Zeus, who is very prone. What are some of the other breeds that we should be conscious of?
Pretty much most of them, Dobermans, Great Danes, pretty much any large breed dog can have it. Some are more predisposed than others. I don't know the statistics off the top of my head. But as far as helping to prevent it, one of the things you can do because you have a puppy now.
Yes, I do.
Okay, you don't want the puppy to eat at its maximum capability. In other words, we don't want them to grow 100% maximal rate, because that will actually enhance some of the deformities of the joints. So to feed a puppy, I usually recommend 3 times a day, and just a general guideline would be don't let the puppy grow to the point or get fat enough where you can't easily feel the ribs. That's my general guideline I tell most everybody, is you should easily feel ribs. Now on breeds like Dobermans, Great Danes that have a very fine coat, you should almost see the ribs, especially kind of like when they turn sideways, you can get a hint, oh, there's the ribs. But like now you have a Shepherd and they're furry and you have to feel, so you want to be able to feel ribs. So don't let puppies get fat and grow so fast that it's absolutely maximal, that can actually induce some additional issues.
Now Remy is, at this point, he is not yet 4 months old. He will be very shortly, but he's about 32 pounds, but very lanky,
Good.
very lean.
Good.
Is he on the right track?
Yeah, he looks good from what I've seen.
Okay,
yeah.
good. So now what do we do? Is there something, Dr. Glassman, some supplements, something that we can start early that will get them
all right,
through?
before we get to that, but I do want to talk about supplements. Another thing to do for puppies, large breed growing puppies, don't exercise them like crazy. Actually, if you let them jump and pound, for hours a day on their joints, that will induce inflammation, which can enhance arthritis down the road. So certainly you've got to exercise and you got to play, but I don't want 3 or 5 hours a day running and jumping, and don't, try to keep it just modest exercise. You can actually do some damage to the joints. Then when they're older, some people do recommend giving them nutritional supplements like glucosamine chondroitin are some of the more common ones you hear and see and you can buy over the counter or through your veterinarian. Omega fatty acids I love, the fish oil extracts, they're natural anti-inflammatory. I don't know if there's any studies that ever have been done to show we can prevent it from developing, but once they certainly have early stages of it, we think maybe the supplements will help improve rebuilding new cartilage or decreasing inflammation. Oh, another one of some of the nutraceuticals. Nutraceuticals are food additives, whether they're foods or other chemicals. Avocado and soybean extracts are now in some of these products to help joints. A product called MSM. So there's supplements that you can give, certainly, and veterinarians carry a lot of these, or you can order them or get them over the counter. But
so the idea is start when they're young, watch them, help them develop, and hopefully prevent some problems at the end.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay. We hope you had fun and learned a thing or two along the way. We'll be back here again next week with even more animals and some wild adventures. Until then, thanks for watching.